Good morning. Today's topic is transradial approach for addressing the vertebral and basilar artery stenosis. As you all know that posterior circulation is a very important circulation of the brain, and it comprises of two vertebrals. Two vertebrals go inside the brain. They make the basilar system, and then they are divided into the posterior cerebellum, and the completion of the Willis-of circle is done. Any problem happening in this region leads to significant neurological disturbances. As you all know, there is a very little literature available for addressing the blocks in this region. Lot of work has been done on the devascularization in the brain, that is coiling and embolization. But a very little work has been done on the revascularization, that is ballooning and stenting. We have developed vertebral and basilar stenting using transradial approach. This technique which we are using will be discussed today. If I have to address left vertebral stenosis, whether it is ostial or intracranial vertebral, I will use left radial approach. If I have to address right vertebral stenosis, whether it is ostial or intracranial, I will use right radial approach. For basilar, I will decide whether both the vertebrals are same or one is dominant and other is non-dominant. If one is dominant and other is non-dominant, I will use the radial on the dominant vertebral side. If both are same, then I will prefer right radial, because that is how we are doing most of our coronary and other interventions. Cannulation of the vertebral, 90% of the time you can cannulate vertebral very easily using left internal memory guiding catheter. Lima guide cannulates left internal memory like this. You bring Lima tip up to left internal memory and just rotate it to cannulate the vertebra. You have to be very gentle in the rotation, and it cannulates very easily. And once it cannulates, you can use regular floppy wire to cross the block. You can dilate it with the coronary balloon. Normally 2.5 or 3 millimeter balloons are fine, and you can stent it using the regular stents. We prefer to avoid regulating stents because we don't have any significant data on this. So we are using cobalt chromium refractory multilink vision system or similar system, or even the stainless steel stents. You must understand that vertebral, when it goes intracranially, it takes 360-degree curve, and then it meets the other vertebral to form the basilar. So if you are addressing the basilar or high intracranial vertebral, then you have to negotiate your wire across the 360-degree loop, and then the balloon and the stent. At times it could be difficult, but then you have to use the same technique which you are using for this type of coronaries. You may use a buddy wire to get a good support and pass the stent through the regular wire or the buddy wire. Make sure that you are not over dilating, because brain is a different structure as compared to heart. It is not so forgiving. So dilatation has to be done in a very gentle manner, 4 or 6 atmosphere. Even stent is to be deployed not at a very high pressure, maximum about 6 or 8 atmosphere. There is a difference again addressing acute cases vis-a-vis addressing the chronic vertebrals or basilars. If you are addressing the acute basilar or vertebral stenosis or total occlusion, don't overdilate. Just give a little bit of dilatation with 1.5 millimeter balloon, allow it to perfuse, just come out, send the patient in ICU, bring the patient next day, and then again you cross it, the block with the wire and stent it, because there is an entity known as hyperperfusion injury, and that can lead to intracerebral bleed, and it could be catastrophic for the patient. So better use this technique rather than dilating and stenting at a time. If you are addressing a chronic stenosis, 80% or 90% stenosis, then this issue does not arise. You dilate and stent at the same time. But again, if you are working in an acute situation, then give a small dilatation with a 1.5 millimeter balloon, little bit of perfusion, come out and stage the procedure, stent the patient with the stenosis on the next day, and that is always better. If you are addressing the ostial vertebrals, then make sure that guiding catheter remains little away from the origin, because there is a chance that you may dissect the ostium and it could again be disastrous. Keeping the guiding catheter a little away from the stenosis, pushing the wire in, dilating, and then putting a stent in. Again, you have to take care that the protrusion of the stent in the subclavian should be as minimum as possible, because there is a tendency for the stent to slip either in or out. And if you are inflating, when you are inflating the stent, then make sure that you are inflating very slowly, 3 or 4 atmosphere. Allow the block to be gripped by the stent, and then you can go at a high pressure, maybe around 8 or 10 atmosphere. And then you can flare the part of the stent which is hanging in the subclavian, and that makes the things very easy. I think that's all.